I'm good.
Hello and welcome back to the PRL Podcast. This week is a teammate special edition, and I'm glad to say I'm joined by the Irishman of the country. What's good, Gary? What's going on?
Everything's good, yeah. Looking forward
Good
to
to
this.
hear. Right, we got a bit of not action-packed. It's not really got any action in, but we've got something new, which we'll get to. But as always, to start off, we'll get into the quali. So if Gary, you want to take us through that, that would be wonderful.
Yes. So the challenger, sorry, I should say, in Decky took pole position. Very closely fought with Michael. Less than a tenth between them. Decky taking pole with a 1 minute 14.6. Unbelievable that. And then we had Michael in second. And then we had a bit of a gap to Jim in P3.
Yep.
Had more of a gap with Sam in P4.
I mean, P4, that's my best quality of the seat. Oh no, did I have P4 in Austria? Yeah, I did have P4 in Austria.
Yeah, I think you did, yeah.
But I was up there.
Quality,
It's good to be back up there.
What do you mean back up there?
Well,
You're never up there. You're never up there.
let's just move on, okay? Let's forget that comment.
P5 we had the new debutant in, what do they call him, Max.
Good,
in
good
P5.
debut
He
quality
seemed
at
quick.
least. Yeah.
It was very close between you and him. A couple of hundreds in it.
Pipped him, you know.
Yeah.
Bit of experience kicking in.
Oh yeah, obviously. P6. We had Neo. Not
Not
best.
great from him.
Not the worst. Well, maybe it's bad for him, but yeah. P7, YHYY, probably his best quality of the season.
And it
showed
wasn't
good pace.
like a fluked 7th place. He did a very good lap. He did a 0.3.
Yeah.
So he's only
He
2
left
tenths
Falcon.
off 4th. So it was a very
Left
good lap
Falcon.
by him. And it was nice to see him back, like, on pace with everyone, if you know what I mean. Because some of
Yeah,
these
been a
races this
while.
season, he's been a bit distant. Whereas the season
Very
before, he was very much in the mix. So it's good to
Yeah.
see him back up there, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is good to see. And then P8 we had Bottle Job himself, a Falcon.
King bottle job.
Oh, he's the biggest bottle job there is.
Well, actually,
Oh, well,
No.
actually,
there's one person
we'll
who
get to
comes
that.
to
We'll get
mind.
to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. P9 was Owen. P10. We'll call him a new driver in Suicide Danger in P10. I don't think I've seen this guy since Australia.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's raced a few, but he DNF so quickly, you don't see him anyway. So,
Oh, we'll get to that as well. P11 was Adam, our F1 racer. Yeah, not the best. Just typical from him though. P12 was Killer. An absolute blistering lap of a
Just-
19.2 on no soft.
just 4.6 seconds off the pace.
I don't even know if he was in 107% margin, was he? Was he
Oh.
in the race?
I don't know, actually, to be fair.
And then had myself and P13.
Propping up the grid.
Great quality. Great quality.
I mean, you're at the
Exactly
back
the best
in
I wanted to be.
season 15, and you're at the back in season 16.
Season 16. Oh, I just love standing at the back in Mexico. But anyway, moving on to the race. Quite a bit. Well, it wasn't the most dramatic race ever, but it was.
It was a good
entertaining, lot
race.
of
It was
battles.
probably
Yeah.
one of the better races of the season in terms of
I think it was my
battles.
favorite race this season. Yeah,
It
my
wasn't
favourite
my favourite race, but
Well, it could have been even better for me, or for both of us. But
yeah, well, yeah.
yeah, we're gonna get onto that soon. Anyway, moving on to the race. P1 Decky, absolutely fantastic drive from him.
I mean, he
Blew
did
everyone out of the park.
technically beat Michael by 10 seconds, but on track it was 4 seconds. So they
Yeah,
were
Michael
closely
counts.
matched, but yeah, Decky, I mean, he had to overtake Michael, and this is actually the talking point. If anyone goes watch the race highlights or the stream highlights, you'll see Michael
What a
just
battle.
doesn't really defend. Like, it was an incredible battle. Both of them, like, credit to both of them, that is how you wheel to wheel race. And
Yeah.
they showed the league that. And they were definitely, in terms of pace in that race, ahead of everyone. I thought June was kind of close, but again, did the wrong strategy.
Yeah, he did
But
the right
anyway,
strategy.
Michael just
Yeah.
never blocked the inside. I'm not sure if that was his strategy or not, but
Maybe he's watching Bottas. Maybe he takes his driving from Bottas, you know? Bottas never
like
defends, never
Decky
overtakes.
is arguably one of the best attackers and defenders, and if you just
Yes.
show him the inside line, he's then going to show you the grass on the outside as he comes
Yeah,
past you.
exactly.
Like, I just think, I don't know, it didn't look like Michael wanted the win, and maybe he thought, I don't want to DNF, and he was just wanted second place. Maybe that's all he
Well,
wanted.
he's
Who
gonna have to get his
knows?
elbows out in Brazil
Well,
if
yeah,
he wants to win this championship. He
I
has to get his
think
elbows out.
I think we're really gonna see who wants it most, who practices
Yeah.
most, who wants it most. And one thing, Decky basically has to win it. If Decky doesn't win it, assuming he then comes second, Michael has to come fifth or below for
Yeah.
that to happen. And is
Don't see that
Michael
happen.
gonna come fifth or below? I don't think so. I can't really
No.
see Michael outside the top four, which means Decky has to win if Michael gets in the top four.
Yeah, totally agree. And then, excuse me. Anyway, moving on. P3, a surprise podium for on HVP. You can tell the excitement in my voice right now.
I'm
So
happy
happy
for
for him,
him.
you know. He
I'm
totally deserves
actually
this.
happy for him.
Yeah,
I thought he
serious.
drove
It's
a
not
really
serious.
good
I am.
race. I
He
also
did.
thought though, me, you, and Joom drove really good races. Joom's probably not. Joom is never happy with his race, so he's
No.
probably not happy with P4. I was quite happy with mine. I think I messed up the strategy a little. I didn't do enough practice to work out when to pit, and I think I kind of screwed myself over a little. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
think all of us
yeah, go on.
deserved that podium. So to
Yeah.
see Owen get it, someone who really this season has got noticed. Last season he kind of went under the radar, whereas this season he's kind of stamped his name on a few races and said, "Look,
Yeah.
I've got
This is
pace to
his
get a
second podium of the
podium."
season as well. So
Yeah, so I'm
very
happy
good.
for him. Very happy for him.
Yeah, same, same. Yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
it was an intense
P4 was
last
a
lap, wasn't it?
yeah. It was so intense. I forgot I had no fuel.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I was so happy you ran out of fuel. I thought everyone would
Yeah,
have
pretty
like
much.
9, 10, 12 seconds of penalties. Like I didn't think six. I thought with 6 seconds, I'd probably jump a few. I didn't expect each one of us to have 6 seconds,
I had
and
3 seconds
on track
till the
was the
last
thing.
lap.
I think you bottled that podium.
I did. Yeah, I totally
Well,
bought that
I don't
podium.
know. Were you 3 seconds? Oh, if you had fuel, you would have
If I
been
had
within
fuel, yeah,
three.
I would have been within 3 seconds, and I hadn't got the penalty,
But
obviously. But like,
you
I would
weren't to know
definitely.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, not Joom or me all had 6 seconds. I think me and Joom got our 6 seconds on the second to last lap, both of us, I think.
yeah.
But it was a good race. It was so nice to be
It was
fighting like a
such a good
four-way
battle.
tussle.
Yeah, it
And
was so intense.
I mean, I didn't really battle too much. I was kind of the
He's got
gap. Me and
overtaken.
Owen were very like trading lap times, and then I went into fuel saving and tire saving mode, which didn't work, so it was a complete waste of time. And within about 10 seconds, 3 people had overtaken me, and that was great, and I was really happy about it.
Yeah, and then yeah, it was really good battle anyway. And like you said,
Yeah, it
June
was
was in
good fun.
P4, then you had yourself P5 and me in P6. Like if you had said before the race, I was
Oh, I
getting
would have
P6
loved
or you get
P5,
P5, I would have taken it. But
but
like
given the
it's always
circumstances,
the circumstances, like
yeah.
you're a bit disappointed. But anyway, then we had Killer in P7, good drive from him. YHYY in P8, he got a bit
Yeah, he
tangled
got
up at the start by
cleared out by a Force
Lion
India at the
Lion
start,
Force after he
which
got brake
we
tested
can
by
get to.
Williams.
Oh god, here we go.
It was very unfortunate, wrong place, wrong time. And then we had in P9, Adam, or F1 racer again. Absolutely, well, he wasn't that far actually off his teammate.
No.
P10,
then
I believe, was
Falcon, but
but
he
he
didn't get
left
any
the session.
points. Yeah.
Yeah, because he left like at the start of the race. Then the DNFers were Neo, Max, and Seems Like Danger.
Who got
How many points did
disqualified,
he get? How many
actually.
points did he get? Got
Um,
like 10 penalties.
Simsai
Something
had
like that.
10 penalties, which
10.
amasses to 30 warnings. And I believe it was a 30, was it 36 lap race? Or am I
Yeah,
just,
36 lap race.
he's getting nearly a warning a lap. Like,
That's crazy.
Simsai's got to start thinking how serious he's going to take racing. Because if you're getting 30 warnings and getting disqualified, you can't be taking it that seriously.
I
I
was
mean,
wondering how
he's
he was
driving
going
a
so
different
quick.
track to half of us.
Yeah.
Like, is he
So,
just cutting the S section out or something?
I seen his fastest lap pop up, and there's a 16. I'm like, hey,
He
what?
was on
What?
ultras, I think, or supers.
Yeah, but I was just surprised that it was him that actually did that
Yeah,
sort of lap.
yeah.
Yeah, and then, yeah, anyway, the main talking points from that race was
The
Decky getting
battles.
a vital win.
We had some good
Yeah,
battles.
that was Decky's
Um,
win.
this seems to be
Neo.
Decky's hunting ground. Last season he needed a win here, and he got the win here. This season he
Yeah,
needed
set
the
up
win here,
nicely
and he
for Abu
got the win
Dhabi.
here. So you've got Mitch with Monaco. I think Decky's stamped his mark on the Mexican Grand Prix right here.
Yeah, and you're stamping your mark on Brazil.
Yeah, we'll get to that after the race.
Well, you have the Brazilian setup, so not sorry, the Brazilian flag. So like,
I'm hoping the
you're
fans
home.
get
You're
behind
home.
me.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's worth a second a lap, man.
but yeah, one talking point I think is Neo's. I'm gonna call it a moment of like madness. He might not think the same. I mean, it's unfortunate what happened. No one, to my knowledge, other than Neo, has seen his own POV. So we don't know how
Yeah.
much time he had to react. Because if people haven't seen, I was braking on the straight to avoid
Yeah,
Decky's
the brake
car,
test
which
in
was
Rio,
skipping.
absolutely horrible. It was
A
horrible.
horrendous brake test.
Oh, it was disgusting.
And
It
yeah,
was bad
Neo's
design.
kind of he wasn't to know that, obviously. But maybe he had time to react. I don't know. But whether he did or didn't, he braked. He hit me, and then we all got to the corner, and Neo definitely had time to stop himself for that corner. And he literally just went straight on. He took out Max, and he took out, which incidentally
YHYY.
took out YHYY. And Neo can have a go at me for what I did, whatever. That is, I'm not. I don't think I'm at fault. I was just avoiding. I'm not just going to plow into Decky. But I mean, it just shows everyone's like human because Neo never makes errors. Like he's kind of
Yeah,
known
and
for just not making
it's
mistakes.
usually quite cool, but like,
He
it did
lost
boil
it
up,
in the chat. Yeah,
which is sort of understandable when you look at the season's had all the
yeah, he
disconnections,
has
all the
been
lag.
very trouble. But that's one reason
Yeah,
why I thought I was kind of confused why he threw up such a fuss. If he's, I mean, he disconnected on lap one, and it was he probably was 90% sure he'd disconnect. So if you know your race is going to disconnect, I don't get why you need to kick up such a fuss about one incident, especially given the fact that he actually took out two other people in the same thing. I mean,
yeah.
unless we see
And
his
his
POV, we
response
can't
would be
really
that
see
he
it.
was avoiding your car, but
I mean, yeah, unless we see his
yeah,
POV, like, there's no way
yeah.
of telling, but
If you look on like my POV or Adam's or anyone else's,
it just
it
kind of
does look
came
bad. But like,
straight across.
obviously we haven't seen his, so we can't really say much else about it.
But yeah, everything happens so quick at turn one,
Yeah,
especially in Mexico when you're coming from about 200 miles per hour down to about 50. You haven't got
Brazil's
much
gonna be
time to
similar.
think. So
I think Brazil's gonna be quite similar
yeah,
in
everyone makes
G1. Very
mistakes. I
close.
think just to move on, racing incident. Let's hope it doesn't
Yeah.
happen again. I think that is time for us to move on, as we have a special little part we're going on to, don't we, Gary?
Yes.
Do
Looking
you
forward to
want
it.
to let them all know what the special part
Yeah.
is?
So Rick has kindly taken his busy schedule, has done up the stats for each team throughout the whole season, and we have done a comparison between the teammates from each team, and it revolves around like races, points scored, position changes after lap one, etc., etc. So yeah, massive shout out to Rick for doing this. He's always a man that loves the stats, so should be quite interesting. There's a few quite interesting comparisons. So looking forward to getting into them.
So to start with, it seems suitable to start with the Mercedes. They've been dominating real life, so let's take a look at theirs. So on your screen you'll have this lovely little graphic. Again, like Gary said, a big thanks to Rick, because he did this out of his free time. It looks super cool, and yeah, so he's got all these stats. I'm not even sure if this is all of the stats. He might have some more. So
I think he's more.
if
More
you're
than half.
interested in the stat side of things, message him and see if he might send you the spreadsheet or something. So
Yeah.
on your screen you can see Decky106 on the left and Joom_X on the right. Some of these are quite self-explanatory. I will explain the ones which may not be. So race finish percentage is how many races you've entered and how many you've finished. If you've entered 11 like Joom and finished 11, you'll have 100% like Joom does. Laps led is how many laps you've been in the lead for, be it by merit on pace or by a contra strategy. Fastest laps, self-explanatory. Laps per penalty, so this is, if we look at Decky and Joom, on average every 53 laps Decky will get a 3-second penalty and Joom will get it every 23 laps. Average qualifying, you can see top 19% for Decky. That means on average he qualifies in the top 19%, which I'm guessing if you had a 20-man grid that would be about 4th place or above. And that's the same for the race. Now average position change, I'm assuming, is the average positions they change within a race.
Yeah.
Which is kind of self-explanatory, but the one that you might not get from looking at is first lap movement. So you see Decky's got -14. That doesn't mean every race he drops 14 places. That means out of all his races, if you tally up the amount of first lap movements that have happened, overall he has lost 14 places. If that makes any sense. If it doesn't, ask one of us after and we can explain it again.
Yeah.
So Gary, what are your first thoughts on seeing this? Any surprise stats?
Slightly, like Jim for his speed, I would expect him to it obviously hasn't been at the front much, but he's only led 15 laps this season.
Yeah,
That's
he hasn't led many, has he?
no, he's got a few podiums, but I was expecting Jim get a couple of wins this season, and his points average compared to Decky's they're not even comparable.
No, Joom's isn't bad, but Decky's is very, very good.
Yeah.
Joom has actually outqualified Decky on 3 occasions, which is good for him.
Yeah, but and you look at the race.
But the race, Decky 9-1, and you can see when you look at the average quali.
Only race as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, it would have been when Decky DNF'd. You look at the average quali and average race. Both of them have technically a lower average quali, so they do better in quali. And they have a higher average race, which means they end up dropping positions more often than they gain positions effectively.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it really.
Changes interest as well. It shows that Joom, Decky not so much, but for Joom, obviously he's quick and quality, but he's sort of lacking that.
Yeah, Decky effectively just doesn't change a position.
Yeah, he doesn't move.
Finishes where he qualifies more or less.
He loses 2 positions. He's lost, I know, on average 2 positions across the season, which is not good for a driver.
Is that not across the race? Across each race?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, each race.
Okay. Well, I guess that is that one. Which one do you want to go on to next?
Let's pick Toro Rosso.
Toro Rosso, right. So this is probably the most interesting one. Where to start? Well, first of all, interestingly, Michael's points average is actually very similar to Decky's. So before anyone goes, Decky's raced less races, he deserves whatever. Well, points average suggests otherwise, because Michael is actually very close to Decky on that. Yeah. Falcon and Michael both raced 13. Falcon's had 1 more win, but 4 less podiums. Had more pole positions. And you can see from this, Falcon has finished less races.
Yeah.
But Falcon has out-qualified Michael more times than Michael's out-qualified him, which I thought was interesting. I didn't really
look at
expect
the
that.
race though.
Oh yeah, it's a landslide in favour of Michael, which you kind of expect. I mean, look at the average position change. You've got Falcon, who, like a bit like Doom, on average loses 2 places, whereas Michael on average gains position. And Falcon, I think, if people thought of a one-lap master, Falcon is probably the name that would come to mind.
Yeah, him and Harry are one of the best when it comes to qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it to be this close, to be honest. I didn't realise Falcon was... Because recently, Falcon has kind of just gone off completely. Like, gone off the cliff, not really done anything.
More laps than Michael.
Yeah, he has.
More laps,
I mean, you think about the Spanish race, I believe Falcon led almost the entire race in that one. And I think he led every single lap in Australia. So those were 2 of his things. But yeah, these 2 are arguably the closest match teammates out there.
Definitely.
Hence why they've probably fallen out. You can see Michael is a bit better at the race. I mean, Michael's laps per penalty, he can go 6 laps longer than Falcon before getting a 3-second penalty. And on average, a race is probably about 30 laps, which for Michael, that means he gets about 3 seconds, whereas Falcon is definitely going to get 3 seconds, if that makes any sense.
And Falcon, like, his race finish isn't the best. He's only finished 77% of the races he's entered. So, like,
yeah, which isn't great.
Probably what cost him as well. That's why he's faltered at the final hurdle when it comes to the championship. Not having that consistency when you compare it to Michael and Becky.
Yeah, I think he's lost his cool a few times.
Definitely.
I don't think people would deny that. I don't think Falcon would deny that. He's a very switched on person, and he could definitely recognise that. But definitely, if he wants to win next season's championship, I think he's going to have to change his mentality towards racing, I think.
For sure.
So moving on, I say, oh god, I haven't found it. Let's go to Ferrari. Not much of a team rivalry, given I don't think...
Not much of a team.
Don't think either of these 2 have ever communicated. And yeah, obviously Calic joined us midway through. Well, not entirely midway through, but more or less. But I mean, it's not shocking actually, but given Harry's speed, 2.7 points every race is horrendous for how quick he is. He's had 3 pole positions. Race finish 36%.
It's laughable.
Which I actually believe, based on PRL rules, is enough to take his seat away. So good job we don't really enforce that rule, because I think you in theory have to finish more races than what Harry has finished. But anyway, laps led.
Laps per penalties.
Oh,
9 laps. Yes, every 9 laps he gets.
It's not the worst in the league, but it is the second worst in the league.
So that's 3 penalties a race, basically.
I mean, it explains why his average quality is top 36% and his average race is top 64. Because he's getting about 9 seconds of penalties a race. It doesn't matter how fast you are. With a grid as stacked as we've got, pulling 9 seconds out through traffic and stuff over people like, pardon me, like Decky, Falcon, Neo and stuff, that's just not going to happen. It's not really going to happen. But yeah, I mean, a bit about Calic, you can see he does better in the race than Quali. On average goes up positions. Harry on average loses about 5 positions off the grid.
You look at Harry's first lap movement.
But how is his first lap movement so good?
Probably because he always bottles Quali and starts at the back.
That is definitely potential.
Harry's been at the back. I've never seen him at the back row with me.
He is quite aggressive as well off the start.
At the start,
that could play into his hands. But I think that's about it. So if you want to select one of the remaining...
Let's go to your team. Williams.
Wow. Long and behold, this... arguably the tightest rival. It's a close one. It's a very close one. I mean, look at the points average. It says it all, really.
So close. So close.
I mean, My
not
stats
the
aren't as
worst.
bad as I thought. Mitch's stats are better than I thought. Given Mitch is so much like a light bulb, like he switches on and off,
Yeah.
like by the
You don't know
flick
what
of a
you're gonna get with him.
switch. He's got 5 podiums, 2 wins, 1 pole position, showing he's got
Like,
the pace to do
That's
stuff.
good stats. If he actually tried harder,
I think
definitely
Mitch could
could.
100% be in the title fight if he'd have actually stopped giving positions away to people who aren't really his teammate. And I can tell you now, he would
Decky, USA.
Mitch would never give me a position. I can tell you now, Mitch
I think
would
he's still in
never
that
give
Cara
me one.
mentality, isn't he?
He
Last
sees
season, Cara.
Decky's Mercedes, he thinks, oh Christ, better pull over. Let Cara
He's
straight on
talking
through.
for us. He just still hears the calls in his ear.
He still is the call in his ear. You can hear Decky from his cockpit. Not going to repeat what Decky says, but
Yeah.
I wish I had the audio of that. That'd be class.
Uh,
But anyway,
I think
laps
Adam had it
led
somewhere.
is an interesting thing. Mitch has more laps led than Michael. I guess Mitch does have the same wins as Michael, actually.
Yeah.
But 66 laps
You've
led.
led a
Mitch
lot of
is-
laps, haven't you?
well, sometimes I just I don't want to make I'm not the kind of guy to pad their stats. Like I'm not gonna go out here do the contra strategy just to get my stats a little bit. I'm gonna drive the race I want to, you know. And there's a couple of Sauber drivers who come to mind that just want to do stuff for the stats, you know.
Well,
So,
I can't help myself when I start at the back, can I?
well, it's probably unsurprising that I've got no fastest
You do well at
laps.
something.
I'm not quite the fastest over 1 lap, as my quali percentage shows on average. Qualifying top 55. Mitch's is actually lower than higher than I thought. I thought he'd be kind of qualifying further forward than that. But hey, I beat him in the race.
Yeah.
I've got to beat him in one stat. I beat him in position change as well.
Your first lap movement isn't the best.
First lap movement's not. It's staggering how I can go down off the qualifying.
You know you can start that high up.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe I must have had like I mean,
You must have
Australia
Bahrain,
did
you had a
not
bad race,
help.
didn't you?
Australia
Bahrain
did
as
not
well.
help my first lap movement stat. Bahrain, I don't think I lost too many places off the start. I am quite passive when it comes to start. I think my mentality is very much you could only lose the race in the first lap, but you never win it.
I'm a first lap merchant.
Well, starting back in P18, it's hard to lose places from there, isn't it, Gary?
Hey, I could lose 2. Okay?
What, with Adam hustling the back of you as you go into turn 1? Adam probably jump starts and gains about 10 places.
Adam jump starts and still loses positions.
Yeah. Well, on a happy note, I've actually out-qualied Mitch twice and out-raced him twice, and we're not going to
That's decent.
delve into which races if he DNF'd or not. We're just going to say I out-raced him.
Yeah, because
And we're
well
going to
done,
leave
well
it
done,
at
well
that.
done. Yeah.
It seems
Right,
fitting
so
to move on to the Sauber team, as we've just done my team. Move on to your team.
oh, no, what a team! Like,
I mean,
What a
these
team.
names just stand out, don't they? They just
forget
irradiate
Becky, forget
class.
Michael, forget Mitch. Like, look at these, Rick and Gary. Like,
They're so tightly
Look at my
matched. So tightly matched. 1 podium apiece. Both have led 5 laps. I mean,
what more can you ask?
can't
Look at
pull
those
off
laps per penalties.
I mean, they're not
I can't,
quite
like-
as. Rick's is flipping amazing. He can do about 3
ATP.
races before he gets a penalty.
That's incredible.
Meanwhile, you've
Like-
got Harry who's picking up 3 penalties in a single
9
race.
laps.
Oh my
yeah,
god.
laps per penalties aren't the best for me. 15.
Yeah, mine went too good, so I won't agree too much. Rick's,
Yeah.
that's incredible from Rick, to be fair.
Yeah, 82. That's.
Might actually be the
madness.
best in the league.
Oh, he has done less races before. He's only done 10.
I've only done
But-
10 and I've got 19 at that point, so maybe it's not
Yeah.
races. But your average quality's not.
quality. It's improved lately.
Yeah, I will say that.
There's no drivers.
But that's potentially because actually
no one race.
it's a percentage. So actually drivers shouldn't come into it.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
drivers don't. Yeah, drivers don't. Yeah. 8%.
But you have, to be fair, you have definitely improved a lot recently. I think you're very prone to not getting your lap in be it corner cutting,
Yes,
spinning,
definitely.
which I think is why it's so low. But obviously you've showed you go up in the race, much like Rick does. Your average position change could be one of the better ones in the league at
Yeah.
3.69, which is good. I mean,
You're
that
top
means you're probably finishing 16th at the end of the race, so that's good for you.
Yeah, that's bringing the car home. That's all that matters. That's all we need to do is sober.
Your first lap movement's good. Gained 16 overall, which is definitely
It's not
good.
that hard when you're starting the back.
But yeah, it's hard to ignore the fact that if you're at the back, you can't really lose positions.
Yeah. My quality and race.
I mean, you've out-qualied Rick once, so...
Yeah, in Australia when he was on harder tyres. But
thought we weren't going to say that, but now let's let the cat out of the bag, you know, as it would.
Yeah. Race, not too bad, beating him twice, you know, so taking less of a spanking.
Yeah, I think you can sleep well tonight, Gary. You've done well.
Definitely.
So
we're going to move on from Sauber. And I say we go to Force India.
This is one of the more interesting ones as well, I think, actually.
Yes.
But you have to... First of all, Neo has done 14 out of 14 races. Kerr's done 11 out of 14.
But like, how many races Neo finished?
Neo's stats are very skewed because he has actually finished quite a lot, but he must have disconnected in about 70% of his races.
It's crazy how much he disconnects.
Because his point average is actually basically the same as Killer if you just round it to the nearest point.
Yeah.
Neo only that one win in Bahrain.
Yes, and it looked so promising.
It did. He's got the pace, but the disconnects.
It must be so frustrating.
Yeah, it's probably why he got so angry.
And like, he has so much pace, and he's just not able to show it.
I'd say he's the best pad runner. I don't know enough about Lewis to give it to Lewis, and Doom is in contention, but he's a bit inconsistent. I'd say, Gary, sometimes we can't win all the awards, so for that reason I'm giving it to Neo. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he's led 13 laps. They were probably all in Bahrain, I would imagine.
Probably is. I'd imagine so.
But laps per penalty, Neo's is not great. It's close to mine and yours. It's very close to Falcon's. His is. So Neo probably gets about 3 seconds a race. Killer's is good though, as you just said. So
you could get away with a race possibly without a penalty.
I think the next two stats you can see the average quality and average rate are very skewed for Neo. With all his disconnects, he's actually gone down out of the thing. But his quality, I think, is actually representative because he doesn't disconnect in quality.
Yeah, quality, yes.
And it kind of sums up a bit of his season because he was very angry at how poor his qualifyings were. Quite often he found himself towards the back because he didn't get his lap in or anything. Yeah,
when you're racing guys like me, you know you're in... Yeah, you know
you've got to put a lap in.
You'd probably rather disconnect than race with me, to be honest.
when he gets on the grid in the formation lap and he sees your Sauber up ahead.
You see the Sauber to the left of him and a Renault to the right of him. He knows he's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, that's never a good sight when you got them in your mirrors.
If you look at the qualifying and race comparison, it's quite even, to be honest.
I was surprised at this. I didn't think...
It could be down to his disconnections, though. We don't
but
really
the quality, as we said, isn't. So Killer's shown that he can definitely get a lap in, albeit don't know how fast. Maybe he's not getting top 5, but he's doing enough to beat whatever Neo's doing. So that surprised me.
And then the race, obviously.
Obviously, the race
Neo,
is
when he has
skewed.
finished, he's definitely a quicker driver, but a couple of those things for Killer might be a bit out of perspective with disconnections and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I guess moving on. Let's move on to Haas. Probably the least teaming team. Both Louis been in from the start, but Jeff joined midway through and hasn't committed at all really to the league. Lewis has been very invested in the league, but due to a bit of a social life, just doesn't really show up on the races. But as you can see, points average, both of them have quite a good points average in comparison to some drivers. Jeff with that podium in Baku, Lewis with 2 podiums, a pole and a win in only 7 races is really a stamp on his speed.
He's quick. He's really quick.
But his race finish percentage, that is low, isn't it?
Yeah, 57%. Like, that's really, really poor. I remember he was involved in a lot of crashes at the start when he first started racing. And like, he's ironed them out. At USA, he was absolutely amazing.
He's phenomenal.
Like, that just shows what he can do. Hopefully, he can do it more consistent next season if he's racing.
I mean, he's got a lot of fastest laps. I'm not sure if they're skewed or not, because obviously, if you do a different strategy or you crash and then you go for fastest lap, it's going to skew this stat.
Yeah.
But I don't know which track MCO is. I'm assuming that's Monaco.
Is that Monaco?
And Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan, thing is, I don't remember far enough back, but if he was genuinely not going for fastest lap, that's
no, I remember
another
he was
stamp on it.
He was on the battle and then he got damaged.
Yeah, and he pitted again.
So maybe that's why he did 2 stops. So maybe
I think Italy he was in the front pack, so I think that's a representative fastest lap.
You look at his laps for penalties.
Not great. It's very similar to mine.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair though, if you've got a number around 18, around that mark or above, you're on average only getting 3 seconds a race on average, which isn't actually that bad in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. But anyway, average quali, Lewis really.
Like top 18.
That might even be the best average quali we've got.
Yeah, could be the best.
It's better than Becky's, so I think
it
probably
look at
is the best.
Average race.
Well, it might not be better than Adams. Oh no, it's definitely better than Adams.
Oh, it definitely is.
No, I think Lewis can take that then. He's definitely the best qualifier.
Yeah. His average race isn't the best.
Movement and position change. Yikes.
That could be the worst.
That might have just got the worst on them. I mean, 6 position change on average. That is not good. He is losing a lot of places in the race. And his first lap movement, he's only done 7 races. On average, he's losing about almost 3 places a lap. Like every first lap. Which is not good.
That's mad. And then if you look at Jeff's, it's not too bad. He's average position change of +2. First lap movement -2. He obviously does better in the race than he does in quali.
Yeah.
Looking at the average race in quali. But quali, if you like, it's not, you can't compare much because they haven't raced with together for that long. But
yeah, it's hard to compare.
Driver and qualifying, and
but Jeff has beat him in the race. Yeah.
He keeps it clean. So moving on, we're gonna go with who we'll go with. We'll go with Renault.
Oh, here we are, the big boys.
Here we go. Oh, the one-man team, YHYY.
Well, both have
racer?
averaged a point a race, effectively.
Absolutely terrific. Like,
both are finishing a fairly high proportion of their races, which is good to see. YHYY has led as many laps as I have, so fair play to him. That must be something.
He's done fastest lap. He had the fastest lap.
Oh, how's he had fastest lap?
Silverstone.
Fair play to him.
How?
Fair play to
him. Laps. Okay, I think Adam has the worst. No, sorry, he has the second worst.
I didn't realise Adam was that bad for penalties. What tracks has he been driving?
What the fuck? 13.
And like, with respect to Adam, it's not like he's pushing the boundaries of speed. I'm not quite sure how he's accumulating so many penalties.
And he gets away with a lot of cuts. I was looking at his highlights video in Mexico, and like, the cuts he was doing and getting away, I was like, what the hell?
I mean, you've got to admire someone who knows where to cut. And Adam's just exploring the track limits.
Harry, you should tell Harry how to do it. Harry obviously still knows to do it.
Unsurprisingly, both of them, looking at the average quali and race, do better in the race than the quali.
Adam probably has the worst qualifying of everyone.
I don't think he does. I think there's one person who has worse. Oh no.
Ah, that guy.
No, he has worse than that guy.
Yeah, he has the worst.
Yeah, he has the worst.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's terrible.
yours is a much better carry.
Hey, it's better. It's the better.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Um,
No one
average
dare look
position
back at my
change.
stats.
Theirs aren't as high as I thought. I would have thought they would go up a little more than they have.
I
But
swear that movement's decent, but like when you're starting last and there's no one behind you, like
you literally
it's like
can't
you go
lose a
back.
place.
You can't go backwards, can you?
Like,
Oh, the marshal's overtaking me. Oh no.
like literally, if you are at the back, you physically can't lose a
can't lose
place
positions.
on the first set. You could
If you get
go up 5 places in turn 1 and lose all of them, and you still haven't lost a position off the first lap. Adam
that's
is
a bit of,
immune to DNFing first lap. It doesn't affect his stat. He doesn't lose any places.
And the quality comparison is actually quite interesting.
This
because
is interesting.
I didn't believe Adam was this slow. I knew he was slow, but like, no offense to YHYY obviously, but
He has
I
been
thought Adam would be a better
out-qualified
qualifier than him.
63.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I thought this would
Adam
be
wasn't.
flipped.
I didn't think Adam would be top 87%, which does
Yeah.
hint he's not quite the one-lap master.
D2.
I mean, if anyone checks out the Singapore Hot Lap, Adam did a really, really good commentary over that. It's a
but
shame
this
we
is his
haven't done any
problem.
more.
He talks all the time.
How does he know how to take the track, but just cannot do it?
I was watching his highlights video, and he's fighting with Sims. Like, he's going, "Oh, he's going around my outside now." I'm like, are you for real? It's a drag race. I'm like, concentrate. I concept like, you just shut up and concentrate on your driving.
Adam would be a really good commentator. I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe he should hang up the pad and just commentate. Maybe he'd be good at something.
I think it's time to hang up the pad was a long time ago, and if he avoided that, he's definitely got some life in
He
him.
should have hung it up when he got that podium in Australia. That should have been it.
He was good at 2016. I'll give him that. He's good at that game.
Yeah, he was actually pretty good. Better than me.
But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
to
Moving
a-
on. You want to pick
really,
next
really interesting one. It's Red Bull.
Oh, you're going to do McLaren.
No, saving the best till last. I mean, points average. Effectively not averaging a point a race. It's hard to really see that any other way.
0.11.
So every 10 races, Agony will climb a point. I don't really get that stat in a way because he hasn't done 10 races, but I digress. Moving on. Race finish percentage. That's
Well, no,
not
yeah.
looking good.
22% is really high. Really, really good.
I mean,
It's not the worst. It's not the worst. Like this. Like it's not the worst. How is this not the worst?
I'd like to know if in first lap movement, if you DNF, does that count as losing positions? Because if that's the case,
you'd be still at the back, but
Agony would have 0 because DNFs every first lap, doesn't he?
we can say this because he's not in the
Effectively
league
being
if he won.
I mean, on average, Agony manages 10 laps a race. If you look at the stats,
It's bad.
His heart's not being. He was so good at 2016 in season 13. And it's a shame to not see him interested. But what can you do? I
Yeah.
really like the guy. Teamed with him for a bit. He's a very nice guy.
Well,
He's
look what
always
happens
been
to all your
nice to me on
teammates.
track.
Look at all your
so.
teammates.
Let's not discuss that. Mitch hasn't left
Well,
yet. Well, he's
Yeah, but
He's not
look, he's a
teaming
former
with me.
champion. Look at him, he's on his knees.
I mean, maybe I'm a cursed or something. I don't know. But anyway,
Not
you
the
look
Roman's
at
team, you know.
the average races. Both of these barely change. Jari's 61 to 60, and Agony's 85 to 82. So
Obviously, like,
neither really
they are where they
change.
should be.
And yeah, look at the position change as well. Neither really move. First lap
yes,
movement.
they're always names are consistent. Like
Yeah.
Jari's in a good way, obviously, because Jari's not top 60 is not too bad.
Jari used to be really fast. He's just kind of stopped trying, and it's definitely shown.
Jari's commented on the video right now, but I don't practice anymore, and I still beat you guys.
What video was that?
Guaranteed. No, he's saying that right now.
On this
He's
video.
listening right now. He's doing it right now.
I'll rinse him at any of the next races
How many podiums you got, Jerry? How many podiums?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Joe.
How many do you have?
Yeah, so the quali and race comparison between Joey and Agony. It's actually an interesting one. Joey outqualifies 7-1, you'd expect, but Agony is actually 4-4 in the race, which I didn't even know Agony finished enough races to do that.
I know Jerry, yeah. Well, Jerry has DNF'd a few times, but so has Agony.
I genuinely didn't think Agony had finished 4 races, so fair play to him. I didn't know he'd done that.
We're going to the right side.
But yeah, I think that rounds up that one.
Moving on to McLaren.
Are they our last one? Oh, McLaren. Here we go. That man on the right is who. That's kind of who we're laughing at. He's got a good average point. I'm not gonna lie.
Good average race finish.
Good average race. And I mean, he's got a good first lap. His stats are looking. They're looking quality right now. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think Sims has a good stat.
He's qualified.
I mean, if it wasn't for his fastest lap in Mexico, you genuinely wouldn't have a single stat going for it. Yeah, I mean, did he not just cut everything to get that fastest lap? I mean,
looking at his
yeah, composure. Okay, so
yeah, right.
Yeah, so Owen averaging 4 points a race. That's a bit lower than I thought. I'm not gonna lie. Given he is actually, I believe, 8th
2 podiums
in the championship. He also has 2 podiums. Both of them he deserved. I'm gonna say that right now. I love Owen. Great guy. Really nice to talk to.
Great Dutch man.
Great Dutch. Yeah. He's led 1 lap like me. All the best drivers have led 1 lap.
Well, I've led more laps, so I'm obviously better than him.
Laps for penalty, he's got a very similar score to me, about 20.
Yeah, 20 not bad.
But interestingly, quali to race, we'll get to sim size. I need to if we go on that, I'll just start laughing again. Average quali to average race, I didn't think Owen would go down, but he has gone down. So on average, he's qualifying probably about 11th. But the race suggests he's finishing below that, so that's not great. His first lap movement is terrible. I'm not quite sure if there's been a result that skewed
Australia and Singapore.
Well, he DNF'd Australia, and I would have thought Rick wouldn't have counted races where they DNF.
Well, if he lasts more than a lap, though. If he lasts more than a lap, then it should be counted.
No, you see, in Australia he didn't last more than a lap, I don't think.
I'm not sure then.
I think I was the one that took his wheel off when I came through.
Oh yeah, you blew everything up that race.
But yeah, he has been in quite a few first lap things, which is unfortunate. Yeah. I'm surprised Simsai's... I mean, Simsai, fair credit to him, he's shown he can out-qualify Owen. So he's shown he's got the 1 lap pace. I don't know how Simsai's managed to beat Owen in a race, given he has 0% race. I mean, let's look at laps per penalty.
I'm so sorry.
Every 4 laps gets a penalty, 3-second penalty. So that means in 30 laps, he's accumulating about 24 seconds of penalties, which is just shy of a disqualification. Unfortunately for him, Mexico's 36 laps, and he did get disqualified as a result.
He also got disqualified in Austria.
Oh, at his home Grand Prix. I mean, he's obviously he's obviously better in the race. I mean, look at his quali and race. He's really shown that he's one of those people. He's got what it takes to do well in the race.
If he put more effort into it, he could. He's a quick
like, jokes aside, Simsai's a really nice guy. Talk to him on WhatsApp a lot. He's definitely got the pace. I just don't think his heart's in it. I think he's lost interest. Because he is very fast. He's definitely as fast as a lot of the mid-pack. In Baku, he was actually very, very fast. But clearly, he's not worked out that it doesn't matter how good you are in quali if you're getting penalties and DNFing.
I would say
crashing.
Harry is similar, but I'd
say Simsai's a beat at carry. I would say He's a
Well,
he's a
maybe
poor
Harry's
man's
B-Tech
VGI
Simpson.
Harry.
Uh,
Oof,
Harry's a
that's a bit of
B-Tech
an
Simpson.
insult. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Simside changes his act for season 17 because he's
Hopefully.
definitely a question mark if he
He's
will
quick.
remain in D1. So we'll see about that one. But
Yeah,
Gary,
so-
I think that is everything. Is it not?
Yeah, I think that's all the team's done.
I guess that is it for this week's podcast. Unless you have anything you want to talk or add.
No? Well, if you want to give our predictions for who's going to win the championship, quickly, if you want.
Oh, okay. Happy to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a heads or tails for me because I think Decky could definitely win the race, but I also think Michael could win the race. I think Falcon could win the race, but I don't think he will because he doesn't want Michael to win. Don't think Harry can win it. If Lewis races, he could. But the thing is, Brazil can rain, and if it rains, Mitch has one hell of a chance to win that
Yeah.
race.
And that changes everything.
And if someone else wins other than Decky, Michael has to come out of top 5. Well, Michael has to come out of top 4. And I can't see Michael finishing 5th or below.
No, same so.
It's fair to say it's Michael's to lose. But
it's definitely Michael's
Decky can definitely win the race. So, I mean, I haven't even really answered the question. I'm going to have to say Michael will win. This would probably spur Decky on even more. But
Well,
I just think there's a decent chance Decky won't win the race. And if that happens, I think Michael will definitely finish top 4.
I'm going to disagree with that, and I'm going to say Decky is going to win.
It's so close, isn't it? I just don't know who. I think I've just gone for the safer option. Oh, well, either way, there are our predictions.
Yeah.
Tell us yours in the comment section or something like that. Knock yourself out down that section. Can get a bit rough at times.
Decky
But
going to comment himself.
oh, of course he will. But yeah, I think that finishes off for this week. So I've had a good time, and
Yeah, it's been good.
a big thanks to Rick for all his stats because this podcast
Yeah.
would not be what it is without him. And thank you, Gary, for coming on. So
Always a pleasure.
yeah, we will see you for the final podcast of the season next week. So it's goodbye.
Bye.